Uh, Now I'm going to discuss non-subject in Telugu adverbial clauses. So before going to talk about the adverbial clauses, I would like to I would like to discuss some concepts which are related to this. Telugu is one of the major Dravidian languages which is spoken in the southern part of India, in the states of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. It is widely spoken in these states. World languages were classified into two types: null subject languages and non-null subject languages. In null subject languages, the subject of the final clause is going to be dropped. So here, if you look at the examples, 1A and B, these are Telugu examples, and C is English, as you know that. Here in 1A, the subject is unexpressed. So like Atadu Pata Padutunnadu, which means he's singing a song. So it is unexpressed, and 1B, it is expressed. So which means that in 1A, it has a null subject, whereas 1B, it has a overt subject. So in both are acceptable in Telugu, and both are is grammatical. When it comes to the English example, if you drop the subjects, then it becomes an ungrammatical sentence. So that's why we can say that Telugu is considered as a null subject language, whereas English is considered as non-null subject language. And this paper investigates non-subject phenomena in Telugu, especially adverbial clauses, which don't inflect for agreement uh, feature. This paper also investigates how full adverbial and reduced adverbial clauses differ in relation to null subjects and their co-referential with the matter subject. This also discusses syntactic and semantic interpretation of Telugu adverbial and their properties. So now Telugu, it allows null or overt subjects, as we have already seen in previous slides. So here, first person, second person, and third person. So all the pronouns are here, like nenu vachanu, which means I came, memu vachamu, we came. So like that, all the pronouns are there. Nenu, memu, neevu, meeru, these are pronouns. And part of the pronoun is going to spells out on the as an affix on the verbal inflection, as we can see here in the red font. So like this no, mo, woo, who, it is a inflection. It is going to represent on the verb. So the speaker can listener can understand whom we are referring to. Here the person and number features are there, means they are on the verbal inflection, and only the gender feature is found in Telugu, like third person singular masculine, that is Atadu Vachadu, means he came. So only that is the masculine and gender feature for that. So for first and second person pronouns, they can be dropped freely because as in any context we can drop, because it can be understandable. But whereas for third person pronoun, then there should be some discourse, otherwise some conversation, so that the listener can understand whom the speaker is referring to. So here we discuss adverbial clauses, and Ivan Sudarshan also in 1998 she talked about Kannada, and she discussed these two types of adverbial clauses in detail in Kannada. So here the adverbial clauses can be classified broadly into two types: full and reduced adverbial clauses. So reduced, also they are also called as adverbial participle clauses, or CPC clauses, conjunctive participle clauses. Adverb occurs almost always in the pretext position, so which means before the main clause we find the adverbial clauses, and the main verb is strictly sentence final in this language. And there's some adverbial subordinators like appudu, then, mundu, before, varaku, until, nundi, since, tarvata, after. So these are some of the subordinators in Telugu. If you look at the full adverbial clauses here, నేను అక్కడికి వెళ్ళినప్పుడు ఆమె వంట చేస్తూ ఉంది. When I went there, she was cooking. And Sandhya chai తయారు చేసినప్పుడు తన అన్నయ్య నిద్రిస్తున్నాడు. When Sandhya was making tea, her brother was sleeping. If you look at these two examples, the embedded clause, which means adverbial clause, it doesn't inflect for any tense and agreement features, whereas main clause we can see that it inflects for tense and agreement. So which means adverbial clauses lack agreement features, especially here. Like there's tense is there, but only agreement marker is not represented on the adverbial clause. And here we can see in the 3a nenu, that is the pronominal, so it can be also dropped, and Sunday it is lexical subject. In this language, the pronouns and the lexical subjects can be dropped, and there is no cause and effect relationship in this, but there is a temporal relationship that we can find. The event 3a example, the event expressed in the adverbial clause takes place while the other in the progress. So which means main clause in the progress, and this is in a simple adverbial. And 3b, so in both adverbial clause and main clause, both they have the progressive form here. So that's why simultaneously we can see there. We have such kind of sentence, and these two subjects are going to be dropped in Telugu, like in the next example we can see here. అక్కడికి వెళ్ళినప్పుడు ఆమె వంట చేస్తూ ఉంది, చాయ్ తయారు చేస్తున్నప్పుడు ఆమె అన్నయ్య నిద్రిస్తున్నాడు. So in both the cases, we can drop the subject of adverbial clauses, and in that case we can use this is null subject. As we can see here, these are simple tense and for being a progressive form, and both of them they lack agreement. Adverbial clause they lack agreement. Since we drop here, so then the meaning would be ambiguous, means yes, so whom the speaker is referring to. So that can be anybody. So which means it could be like arbitrary also, because it can refers to anybody. So without any context. So that's why in order to understand that we need to have context of discourse. So that's why it can be disambiguated and be correctly interpreted only in a continuous discourse. Okay, because there is no agreement on the verbal inflection, so there is no antecedent also. So it doesn't co-index with any of the noun. So that's why we need to have the discourse for that. Then only they can be interpreted. And here, even the main class subject also we can drop in this language. అక్కడికి వచ్చినప్పటి నుంచి అతన్ని చూడలేదు. Since pro came here, that is somebody, that may be anybody, like arbitrary. So in main clause and subordinate clause also, in both the places we can drop the pronoun. And this example also, like in main clause and adverbial clause, we can drop that pronouns. In fifth, the subject means in these examples, 150a as a temporal adverbial, and 50b is adverbial of reason. So these are kinds of adverbials that we have. And 5th B expresses a cause and effect kind of relationship, because since somebody had worked in the college, she or he or somebody cleared the debits like that. So with the help of conversation, we can say it is a definite noun. If there is no such kind of discourse, then it becomes the arbitrary, since there is no agreement on the adverbial clauses. So the second type, reduced adverbials. So these are called means non-finite adverbials also. Like generally we find in the subject position big pro. So what we discussed previous slide, that was little pro. This is about big pro. Generally it occurs in the subject of a non-finite clause, and it is always co-referential with the matrix subject. So which means there is some co-index with the matrix subject in all the context. So this non-finite verb has a perfective participial ending, and it denotes completed action or event. And in this, actions and events are sequential. So which means one after another. Like this 6a example, పాలు తాగి అతడు బడికి వెళ్ళాడు. Having drank milk, he went to school. పని చేసి అతడు విరామం తీసుకున్నాడు. Having done the work, he took the rest. In these both examples, that is perfective participial, that which is in the red font, and this atadu, it refers to that adverbial clause. So which means there is co-index is there, co-referential to that. And this non-finite clause generally they lack overt subject, because there is a big pro where generally it occurs in the caseless position. So in this way, it is going to be co-referential. That is a big pro in this adverbial clauses. But if we replace the pronoun, not like atadu, means not like he, which is in the main class. If you replace like another like they or she or something, so then it becomes ungrammatical sentence, because we cannot say like vaadu paalu taagi atadu badiki velladu. So this there is no such kind of meaning. So that's why that should be co-indexed with that. And these CPC can also have a temporal adverb. So which means, in main clause, you have another adverb, and in embedded means adverbial clause also you have another. So they are independent when it comes to time difference. Like నేను ఈ రోజు అతనికి ఫోన్ చేసి రేపు అతన్ని కలుస్తాను, which means today I haven't made a call to him, I will meet him tomorrow. Like today and tomorrow, like that, we have the different adverbials. So that's why one can refers to the present time, and the other one is for future time. In this way, they have the independent time references. So that's why the CPC clauses have a temporal adverb. So in this language, it is aspect in a collaboration with an abstract tense feature that assigns nominative case in finite clauses, as we have seen as little pro in that. And there is some kind of abstract tense in CPC which allows independent reference to time. There is a participle that generally occurs in perfect participle clauses also. So that's why it has some tense. So aspect and abstract tense together license a nominative subject in this language. And Stoll also observes that infinitives in English make a reference to time, because infinitives also they have a time reference in English. To conclude that non-substantive treaty allowed in this language, and we talked about full adverbial clauses which can license either an overt subject or null one. So which means little both there is a we have already seen when the subject is null, it have a ambiguous reading since the verb lacks agreement. If there is agreement, then we can identify the person whom he is referring to. So that's why. So they lack agreement. So that's why it is ambiguous in reading. So that's why context is required for that. So this is not so with the reduced adverbials because these are non-finite. So because the big pro is co-referential with the matrix subject, because we cannot keep another pronoun in that case because it has to be co-referenced. And the adverb clause are finite to the extent that we have the means nominative subject is there and the inflex for aspect. And the adverb clauses lack propositional completeness and they do not make a complete statement. Not only are they dependent on the matrix structurally, but semantically also, because they cannot stand alone. So that's why those are incompleteness is indicated by the intonation pattern in spoken Telugu or English. The adverbial clause end with a rising tone, thus signaling that there is more to be said. So that's why only adverbial clause it cannot stand, since it is a subordinate clause. These are my references. Thank you all.
It's a good, well presented and well researched paper. However, people may still have questions on theoretical aspects of it, which will be developed further, I'm sure, in future by Dr. Suman, and also the data which has been used. One thing, I mean, there are other issues as well, but one thing is you are, have you confirmed the status of the adverbial clauses, that they are not, they are adjuncts, in the sense that have you done some tests to show that they are adjuncts?
Yes, sir. So actually, I need to look at some more data to know that, because when we replace the pronoun, with another one, then it cannot accept that. But whereas in like full adverbial, it is acceptable. So that's why we can replace the pronouns. But in this case, only that it should be co-referential with the matrix subject. So yes.
Okay. Okay. I mean, there is just a hint of where to look for the answer. Usually there is a discussion of this in some languages, not all languages, where of course there is agreement. For example, Hindi Urdu has agreement across the adverbial clauses, but also control, how the pro in the adverbial clause is controlled and what is the exact mechanism. Because as you must have thought about it, it really depends on the relative heights of the adjuncts. There was a question from, I think this is Uma. On one slide, I have seen a statement that non-finite clauses do not allow overt subjects. Can you comment on that? Yeah, I think you repeated that here as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I understood. Yes, sir. Actually, it varies from language to language how this non-finite clause would be. But most of in Indian languages we have this kind of control structure that is subject constraint, same subject constraint is there. For example, if you take like atadu palu tagi, atadu badiki velladu. So which means it is like a repeated one. So generally to reduce such kind of repetition, generally we use like palu tagi, atadu badiki velladu. So which means atadu, it is the same subject constraint. So in that case we have such kind of qualities with that. It is co-referential with the embedded class. But when it comes to this agreement, means it depends on the languages how they vary. Yes, this non-finite class.
No, but
Yes, sir.
maybe it is not true in all non-finite forms, but in some finite forms, yes, there is a subject sharing, but in other cases it is not so. They can have independent subjects for each of these adverbial clauses in Telugu.
Yes, sir. Like natural relevance is there. For example, varsham padi nela tarisindi. So this like
That's
disjoint
right.
subject constraint is there. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm looking at those constructions also.
Yes.
Parameshwari is giving a construction.
Yeah.
In the chat box, please check.
That's right. That's a very good example, a common example. Suggests always Pamu Karichi,
Karichi,
Pillavaadu Charichipoyadu. This is possible in
Pillavaadu,
Telugu, but not possible in Hindi and other Indo-Aryan languages.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is not. Yes.
शाम काटने पर और शाम काटने से बच्चा मर गया.
Yes, yes, sir.
It's not possible kind of thing.
Mr. Subbarao has also discussed this.
Yes.
Disjoint
by
that
subject.
subject.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Kodakonda Suman, and
Thank you, sir.
we look forward to your future work in this domain and fuller and more expansive work, taking more data and comparative maybe with some other related languages and working out the theoretical aspects more sharply. But it was a very good presentation. Thank you.